Hi, I'm Nick, the Intermediate DM. The purpose of this video is how to prevent metagaming. So metagaming is a term used in role-playing games which describes a player's use of real-life knowledge concerning the state of the game to determine their character's actions, when said character has no relevant knowledge or awareness under the circumstances. So what it means I myself, not my character, but myself, I know something. I know information that my character doesn't know. And this happens all the time, especially in Dungeons & Dragons. You're a rogue, you'll watch your player who's playing a rogue pickpocket someone. Now everyone sitting at the table playing the game knows the rogue just stole something. Okay? However, the characters they're playing, the characters that exist in this Dungeons & Dragons world, they don't know what their rogue has done. Okay? Metagaming is when you make a decision based on something you know but your character doesn't. One of the strongest things of metagaming though actually occurs from people who make decisions based off of a dice roll. So I'll give you an example. So let's say you have an Outlander Ranger, so who's leading your party through a forest. The DM asks them to make a DC survival check. The Ranger rolls a 2. Too many times this will lead other characters to want to make the check. They see that too and they know that their ranger is not going to be leading them in the right direction. Okay? However, it doesn't mean their party knows that. Okay? Your party, the characters in the game, not the players but the characters, they don't know the ranger just rolled a 2. Okay? They exist in a world that doesn't even have dice. Okay? So what happens is suddenly the whole party, including the human wizard, born and raised in a big city, who's just entering a forest for the first time, is rolling to lead the party through the forest. So you'll have someone whose character has no business wanting to lead a group through the forest, suddenly wanting to make the survival check to help lead through the forest. Realistically, that player needs to have role-playing explained to them, so more likely than not, they have to understand how role-playing works. And you might pull them aside and explain, like, hey, if it wasn't a 2, or if you didn't know what the role was, would your character be wanting to lead? And they should understand no. So that player needs to understand that their character would probably not even think to attempt to lead the group over the much more familiar with the terrain ranger. So I'll break down a few options for a DM should a situation like this arise. First off, the ranger's roll of 2 doesn't mean he's barely tried to look. It's more likely he actually scouted the area and noticed one path seemed a bit more worn than other ways, and to him this suggests that this is a more likely path out of the forest. Okay, so he's actually done a pretty good job of looking. He just basically managed to get tricked, and that can happen. That can make sense. Even a very skilled ranger every once in a while could just make a mistake and they saw something they were looking for, which was a worn path to suggest people had traveled this way, and he fell for it. Okay, the group of characters who have trusted the ranger to lead them up to this point really do not have a reason to believe he's leading them in the wrong direction. As I talked about in previous video, this failure to pass the DC check would likely just lead them down a path that takes a bit longer to get out of the forest. So maybe he leads them down a path that now they run across a goblin camp. So now they just have to do a little skirmish, get through that, and then have the ranger look around again and try to pick up the trail and the way out once again. So they can still get back on track in the long run. So now what does it mean if the human wizard described earlier decides to roll anyways? So let's say he rolls and rolls well. Maybe he gets an 18. My role as a DM, I explain the confidence of the ranger, who knows the woods better, chooses a path. The wizard, so the ranger is like, I believe it's this way. Looking at the worn path suggests that people have traveled down this way, so this is likely the path out of the forest. Now, the wizard, even though he rolled an 18, he has really no business in leading the group. So for him, the wizard thinks we should go this way because he's got a really good feeling in his gut. So if your group is having to decide, okay, who should we believe? The ranger who wants to go this way because of a worn path, or the wizard who's just got a good feeling about it? So hopefully the rest of your players will make the right choice that, like, role-playing wise, they should probably believe the wizard. Okay? Sorry, role-playing wise, they should probably believe the ranger. Even though technically the ranger is wrong, it makes sense that he would be the one to know. Technically, your wizard just got lucky, and we don't want our role-playing to come down to just plain luck. So every now and then, it does make sense for two players to make a check. So I don't want you to think that two players can't make a check. So let's say that the party also has a forest gnome rogue in the party. So in this situation, the one with the higher modifier, let's say the ranger has +5 to survival, and the forest gnome has +3. They would instead perform the help or aid action. So the ranger's leading the way, and the rogue's helping. So what this does is it allows the ranger to make the DC check with advantage. So advantage roll is you get to roll twice and keep the higher number, and that's what help or aid does. Now, I would still discourage players from just using the help or aid action every time someone has to make a roll. It should still make sense. Okay, that wizard should probably be not letting his help to get out of the forest, unless for some reason he has studied this forest in books. But don't decide that on the spot. Don't just add to your character's backstory. Your character has a backstory that's basically set in stone. Don't just add to it because now it's convenient for you. So another major area I've seen metagaming take place is stealth checks. Stealth checks seem to be the biggest area I see people making decisions. So a lot of times a group will want to sneak around unnoticed. So your rogue may want to sneak up behind someone and try to pick their pocket. So you as a DM say, make a stealth check. They roll a 3, and then suddenly they're like, I don't want to go in anymore. First off, your player doesn't really know how sneaky they're being compared to their opponent's passive perception. It doesn't really make sense for them to change their mind. Secondly, you may have done this sequence wrong. Your rogue should be telling you everything he is going to do. So your rogue should be, I want to sneak up behind that man and pick his pocket. He's already doing these actions. Now you say, make a stealth check. He rolls a stealth check, and then you say, make a sleight of hand check. So the stealth is how sneaky he is approaching the man. The sleight of hand is how sneaky he is basically reaching his hand into their pocket. So maybe the stealth check was a 4 and the sleight of hand was a 16, in which case you say, the man turns to face you, can I help you with something, sir? Things like this, you may not have gotten away unnoticed. He still technically succeeded in picking the pocket. He just didn't get away unnoticed. And it could create dialogue or future issues because the man might not know his pocket was picked now, but now he's seen that rogue's face. Later on in the day, he'll probably realize his coin purse is gone. And he'll start thinking about the day, and he'll remember that rogue, possibly. Maybe he remembers them well enough to tell the town guard, and the guards are looking for you now. But you have to allow events like this to happen. The game really loses its substance and its excitement if you don't ever feel like you could possibly fail anything. It's not a fun game to know you can't ever fail anything. So it's actually kind of exciting knowing something could go wrong, especially when things do go wrong, and then figure out like how do we fix this or how do we get out of this situation. So another thing when it comes to these stealth checks like this, so every once in a while the rogue who say, I want to sneak up behind this man and pick his pocket. So roll a stealth check and roll a sleight of hand check. Let's say he rolls 20 he rolls like 16 on both of them. Okay? And then he decides, oh, I'm being really stealthy now, let me sneak up on this guy. If he wants to add on to his actions, he should be making another stealth check. Okay? Don't let him just start adding on to actions because his stealth check was good the first time. Every new person he wants to sneak up behind, he should be rolling a new stealth check versus their passive perception. So keep having him roll these stealth checks. So he sneaks up behind a second guy and picks that guy's pocket. And he's like, if he feels on a roll, he's like, I want to sneak up behind this third guy. Roll another stealth check and roll another sleight of hand. He should be making a new check versus these people each time. I've seen another way that people will fix the stealth check. I've seen some DMs who will actually make the stealth check for them. So the DM himself will behind the DM screen, he'll roll. That way the player doesn't actually know how sneaky they're being. And it's a good system. It just, because now the rogue is making all his decisions based off what he hopes, based off him hoping he's being really sneaky. However, I myself prefer to actually have them tell me every action they're going to take while sneaking around, and have them roll appropriate checks the whole way around. There's plenty of other examples where metagaming comes up. You'll recognize it when suddenly your players are doing something weird that they shouldn't be doing. Every once in a while, the group is separated. The group is separated, not doing it because they're in town, and one of them gets into a fight that the rest of the group should not know about, and all of a sudden everyone is running in that direction. It's like, why did you decide to run there? That's kind of a weird thing that you just got a gut feeling to run over there. So try to be careful. You can't really tell them no when they're going to try to make these decisions. You can't just say, no, your character has no business to walking that way. You can't do that. But just try to coach them up. So try to coach them up being kind. So your player is gets in a tavern brawl while someone else is across the town and knows nothing about it and starts running that way. Or says he wants to run that way. Say, does your character really want to run that way? Because he doesn't actually know that there's a brawl going on. Sometimes they forget that their character doesn't know. So just give them the option to practice role playing. So instead of just you can't force them to be good role players. Give them the option to practice it. If you have any questions or comments on potential metagaming issues, feel free to leave any comments in the comment section. Once again, I'm Nick, the Intermediate DM. Thank you for watching the video. Please subscribe to the channel, like and share these videos if you can, and thank you.